Bear Clooney here with Imran. Imran is one of our very first members, the founder of the group, and in all honesty, one of the most genuine watch enthusiasts that Bear Clooney had the privilege to meet and talk to. Hi Imran, how are you?
Not bad, how are you?
Very good. Thank you very much for coming to Bear Clooney Watches channel. And even more, thank you for being part of this great horology group.
I'm honored.
You know, you remember when I talked to my son and you, how my son noticed one thing about you when it comes to watches, that you always talk about them and look at them and communicate about watches as they are pieces of art.
Absolutely.
Why is that? Why do you look at the watches as art?
Well, when you sit back and consider how much work goes into these watches, from a design standpoint, from a finishing standpoint, you've got to realize that it in fact is art, you know?
Absolutely.
It's not, you don't even have to look at a watch through a loop to recognize the beauty that really is in the details. It's just something that, you know me, I spend a lot of time staring at my watch when other people are staring at their phones.
That's so true. I remember you telling me a story when you actually put a watch that you haven't had on your wrist, let's say for a while, you go to work, you take a look at your wristwatch, and you actually lose yourself in it. You start daydreaming, you start thinking deep about it, and you truly experience appreciation for the timepiece.
Yeah, you don't tell my employer, but certain watches make me lose a little productivity because I'm spending too much time looking at them. But such is life, you know. You got to find the things that you truly love and that speak to you, and you run with it. You're no stranger to that.
Very true.
Your passion rings very, very truly. Just look at your videos, and everyone subscribe.
Thank you very much, brother.
The Bear Clooney's got one of the most quality channels, and join his ride because each video is going to get better and better. And
thank you. And we're searching for the perfect watch, but is there such a thing? Is there a perfect watch, Imran?
Every time you think you found the perfect watch, it may seem that way for a little while, but you quickly realize that you're on to the next. It reminds me of when I was on my quest to get every Beatles album.
Right.
Every album that I would get, for that 2 or 3, maybe 1 month span, I would think, wow, this is the greatest Beatles album.
Right.
Until I got the next one, and the next one. And, it's just kind of the same thing, currently my favorite watch that I own is my Rolex Explorer.
Oh, I share that passion with you, man.
It is simply the greatest watch. It's like
perfection in simplicity, yet such a deep dial. You lose yourself in it.
Yeah.
Amazing history. Wonderful timepiece.
There's a lot to be said for someone who wears a Rolex out in the wild and nobody notices what it is.
Except us watch geeks.
Yeah, right. I mean, the Explorer kind of flies under the radar. You don't have to feel self-conscious about people thinking things about you because you wear a Rolex. That's one of the greatest selling features of that watch.
Very true. Now, you brought us two really interesting pieces. I know that your collection is exceptionally diversified. You have pieces that are very different, unique, and you have a Rolex Ceramic Daytona. You have so many. How many pieces you have in your collection? I forgot to ask you. Do you even know?
Currently I'm at about 24. And that's considered pretty lean for me.
For you?
Yeah, well, because I was at about 43 at my peak.
At your peak, yeah.
But I got a little anxious, because when my beauties don't get the wrist time they deserve,
Right.
I feel like I'm not being the proper father or owner or
Of
whatever you
that
want to
timepiece.
call it.
You care
right?
about your timepieces. You really want them to be used as what they're meant to be used for.
Yeah, so I spent a couple of years paring down, selling them, and I won't sell a watch just to anybody. It has to be somebody who I know is going to appreciate it. So I spend a lot of time finding the right people. They happen to be people that I know. And when I see them wearing the watch I used to own, it gives me a warm feeling in a way that I feel like I still kind of own it. It's part of the family still.
Right.
So that's kind of what I've been doing. And so yeah, I'm at about 24 watches right now.
Now, what do you have here tonight? What are we looking at?
So this piece is a pilot watch, originally made and designed in 1917 by a company that is just about 1 year older than Rolex, 1904. And this company basically didn't even know that they made this watch, and they were thinking of, what can we put out? They put out certain divers and other heritage pieces. And they went into their archives and they realized, wait a minute, we made a pilot watch that predates the one we thought, because they thought they made a pilot watch in the 30s and they thought that was the very first one that they made. Well, they found this one and they decided, let's remake this for 2017. It'll be the 100-year anniversary, and they made it verbatim. If you see the original, it looks identical to that. Only difference here is now you got the advent of better materials, a better movement. It's basically a Salida movement. I think it's SW200-1. If you'll notice, it's got the pusher there.
Yeah, what is that pusher for?
So basically, you cannot change the hands with the crown without activating the pusher.
Right.
Now, the reason this exists in the first place is when pilots wore this watch, it was here because they would ensure that they wouldn't bump it or adjust it in any way that they weren't intending to. So pilots would hold this down and then change it.
That's so cool. So basically reproduction the same way it was the original one.
Yeah, same gorgeous numerals, the same cathedral style hands. You got the syringe minute.
I love the cathedral hands.
Yeah, and in the dark, this thing looms so beautifully.
Even the band, the band is a pilot style band from that era.
So you got the very minimalized Bund style strap, and this leather actually is pretty quality leather. It's not your everyday genuine leather, what they call, which is very low level.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
This is very comfortable and nice. And let me show you. If we look right in here, you'll notice this is, can I use this?
Of course.
So right here you've got Oris's original logo. So
Yeah,
Oris
that's cool.
Watch Company.
That is really cool.
And then you'll have the numbered edition. So this one happens to be, can you see that?
Yeah.
So what does it say?
Let me bring it closer. You talking this number here?
Yeah, so
I can't really tell.
so it's a limited edition.
1319 of 1917.
Right. So they made 1917 of these, which is
Is that because it was in 1917?
is when this was originally came out.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to pick one of these up. It was a Basel 2017 release.
That's right.
And the moment I saw that, you'll remember I told you,
Yeah.
I was absolutely smitten and I had to have it.
And you do.
And I do. Yeah, like the crazy watch person that I am, gotta add to the collection.
And the second piece you brought to us tonight, and I was actually jumping into conclusion earlier. If you remember, I said, well, where is the push pin, right? Where is the? This is the Frederique Constant.
Yep.
And it is the moon phase.
It's called a slimline moon phase, and that's because the way this chamfers down
Right.
on the wrist, it makes an illusion that it's very, very thin.
Very cool. I like that.
Yeah, so what do you want to know about the watch?
Everything. Tell me about it.
So basically, you've got...
I wish I can take a better, like I wish I have a daylight because
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful dial. But go
Yes.
on, I'm doing my best.
So you'll notice that this design is not unique to Frederique Constant.
Correct.
You'll see a little bit of Patek Philippe,
Yes.
a little bit of Vacheron Constantin,
Yes.
but they successfully took those influences and brought this watch out to the masses at what I would consider a very affordable price, and that's something that I was very attracted to. I didn't have to, break the bank to get a really classy moon phase type of watch. So I went for it. Now this watch was made prior to them being taken over by the Citizen Group, because Citizen now owns them. But they're allowing Frederique Constant to do their own thing. They're just providing funding. We flip it over on the back here. You notice they really try to have excellent finishing.
Right.
Okay, yes, this rotor here is not gold, but at this price point,
Well,
I wouldn't expect
yeah,
that.
if it's gold, obviously price point wouldn't be where it is.
Right. So, just so people know, this kind of retails around 3.5, somewhere in that range. You can get it for much cheaper pre-owned.
Used,
Of course you can, yeah. This is not the original band.
Strap, yeah.
Mine came with the bracelet,
Okay.
but unless it's Rolex, I usually take the bracelet off and put on a leather band just to protect the bracelet. I can't do that with Rolex because they're the greatest bracelet makers on the planet. And they're super comfortable and they look great as is, the way they designed it. So,
You're very passionate about Rolex too. Rolex is definitely not a brand that you look at as the brand that some people consider show-off brand. And you know how Clooney gets criticism for sometimes being called the Rolex wanker. So tell me about your views on Rolex.
I think
Because it's for me music when you talk about it.
Rolex is a very tricky brand. When you talk, we all know, when you talk to somebody who knows nothing about watches,
Right?
they know one thing, right?
Right.
They know Rolex. Somehow Rolex has gotten into our DNA as a human race.
Right.
And they're synonymous with quality, with status. So a lot of people gravitate towards that brand when they know nothing about watches. Now, on the other hand, when you have a watch enthusiast
Okay.
who delves deep into their history, into all their innovation, to all of the things that they did first, they did better, the events they took part in, and all of those type of things, an enthusiast starts to realize, wow, there's more to Rolex than just the surface level prestige of it. They make some of the most robust, reliable movements, and Bear, we both love watches that we can beat up if we need to, but at the same time, it's gonna be there for us and tell time at a very beyond chronometer level method, +2, -2. Like, how do you beat that? Tell me.
Right.
Come on.
Exactly.
But so I think you've heard this many times before. All roads lead to Rolex.
Well, Bear Clooney philosophy is that all roads do lead to Rolex. Is that a perfect watch?
I think some of their watches
Are damn close to it.
are perfection. They know that. Why would they continually put out the same watches over and over every year and just make little tweaks?
Right.
Because they realize they've got a win here.
Right.
People will buy it. People love icons. They love history. They love gorgeous design. And they're not going to mess with things like the Datejust, the Submariner, the GMT. It's just about little tweaks, make it a little better, and get everyone salivating for, the next release.
Now, you are the type of watch enthusiast that can appreciate the watch such as Seiko 5, but you can also appreciate F. Pigeon. You can also appreciate Patek. I think F. Pigeon is probably your ultimate love, and it's a watch that would be considered your grail. Am I correct?
Very, that's pretty much true. I think...
You called him, what did you call him? You called him the artist, the modern artist. What did you call him?
I can't remember specifically, but
Something like that.
He is a true genius. What I love about him is when I first got into watches, the very first brand that caught my imagination in my mind was Breguet. And when I found out that as a student he studied Breguet deeply, what did Breguet do? What did he contribute to? All the things that Breguet wanted to do that he couldn't in his day. Basically, F.P. Journe went ahead and built upon that and came up with things that in the industry today, in the market today, nobody is attempting or doing. And he credits the Breguet influence. And I mean, how can you not love that? The guy, I'd love to meet him. But most of all, I'd love to own one of those watches. Maybe someday. We'll see.
Maybe someday. Thank you, Imran, so much. I think people will, after seeing this, completely understand why did Cat Clooney call you pure artist when it comes to watches. The way you speak about them, it's like finest connoisseur of finest art. At the end, I just want to say hi to your beautiful wife, who is also a fan of the channel, who is also a watch enthusiast and a wonderful person. So hi to her, and thank you to both of you for contributing to our horology group.
Thank you, Bert.